My name is Margaret Louise Maggie Caldwell, 75 years old, living in the same weathered cedar shingle cottage on Lake Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire that my late husband James and I bought in 1984 with his first big promotion at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard and my savings from teaching high school English in Concord. The cottage, Lakeview Haven, had soul, wide-screened porch overlooking the water, stone fireplace James rebuilt himself, a dock where we used to fish at dawn, and a small upstairs bedroom we called the grandkids' room, because it held the things we collected for them. Antique wooden boats James carved, a set of nautical charts from his Navy days, vintage fishing lures, and a mahogany hope chest filled with quilts and keepsakes for future summers. James passed 6 years ago from a sudden stroke while raking leaves on the lawn. He left me the cottage free and clear, his pension, modest but steady, social security, and the one thing we both clung to as security, the deed to Lakeview Haven, valued at $1.2 million in 2025, with no mortgage and a private dock on one of the most sought-after lakes in the state. Our only child, Jessica Lynn Caldwell, now 46, married to a real estate developer named Paul, mother to 2 grown daughters in college, had always loved the place as a child. Summers here were her happiest memories, swimming off the dock, roasting marshmallows by the fire pit, fishing with James at sunrise. But after James died, Jessica's visits grew shorter, her calls more businesslike. She started talking about the future more than the present. "Mom, you're alone in that big cottage. What if you fall on the dock? What if the stairs get too much?" I'd laugh it off. "I've got the handrails James installed and the neighbors check in." Then came the summer of 2025. I had a small fall on the porch steps, bruised hip, nothing broken. The doctor said rest, ice, physical therapy. Jessica flew up from Boston immediately, unusual for her. She brought Paul and the girls. They hovered. "Mom, this is serious. You can't stay here alone." I protested. "I'm fine. I'll hire help if needed." She shook her head. "No, we've decided. We're moving you to a senior community in Boston. Assisted living, private apartment, medical staff on site. Safer, closer to us." I stared. "Decided? Without me?" Paul jumped in, smooth salesman voice. "Maggie, it's for your own good. We've already looked at places. Your cottage will be sold. Market's hot right now. Proceeds can cover your care for years, and we can help manage the rest." My stomach dropped. "Sold? That's my home. James's and mine." Jessica touched my arm. "Mom, it's just a cottage. We'll use the money wisely. And the things inside. Your quilts, the boats, the lures. We'll store them for the girls someday." I tried to argue. The doctor said I was competent, but Jessica had papers. Power of attorney I'd signed years ago after James's stroke, just in case. She used it. Within a week I was packed, only a suitcase of clothes, my Bible, a few photos. The cottage was locked. My pension checks were rerouted to a joint account she controlled. "For your expenses," she said. The senior community in Boston was not what they promised. It was mid-tier, faded carpets, fluorescent lights, meals that tasted like cardboard. My private apartment was a one-room unit with a shared kitchenette and thin walls. Activities? Bingo twice a week if the staff showed up. I sat in a vinyl chair by the window, watching traffic on the highway, feeling the walls close in. Jessica visited once a month, quick, with excuses. Busy with work. Paul never came. My granddaughters sent texts. "Miss you, Grandma." No visits. Meanwhile, I learned from a kind aide that Jessica had listed the cottage online. New photos, fresh paint, updated kitchen, perfect lakefront family retreat. She was using my pension for staging costs and their mortgage on a bigger house in the suburbs. My things? In storage, she said. But when I asked for James's carved wooden boat, the one he made for our first anniversary, she hesitated. It's being appraised, for the girls. I felt the ice grow inside me. Not anger yet, but clarity. She hadn't moved me for safety. She'd moved me to clear the way, to use me up. One night, alone in the dim room, I made a decision. I wasn't going to fade. I was going to fight, quietly, smartly. I started with the aide who liked me. Rosa, a single mom working double shifts. She smuggled in a burner phone. Mine had been confiscated for my health. I called an old friend, Victor Lang, antique dealer in Portsmouth who'd bought from us before. "Victor," I whispered, "I need help. Discreet." He listened. "Maggie, you okay?" "No, but I will be. Can you come to Boston? Appraise some things I have. And sell what I can?" He paused. "You're in a facility?" "Yes, and my daughter thinks everything's hers. But it's not." He chuckled softly. "I'll be there tomorrow." The next day, Victor arrived. Gray suit, briefcase, kind eyes. He posed as my cousin. Rosa let him in during visiting hours. We met in the small lounge. I had smuggled a few small items. 2 antique nautical charts, framed 19th century, $3,800 total. A carved wooden boat James made, $2,500. A set of sterling silver flatware, partial $4,200. Victor examined them carefully. "These are strong pieces," he said. "I can sell them quickly. Private buyers. Cash, no questions. $10,500 total." I nodded. "Do it. And Victor. I have more. In storage at the cottage. Charts, lures, quilts, the hope chest. Can you get access?" He smiled. "I know people. Discreet movers. If you give me the key code out to the storage unit Jessica mentioned." I did. The code she texted me. For emergencies. Victor left with the small items. 2 days later, he wired $10,500 to a new account I'd opened online. My name only. Hidden from Jessica. The ice inside me thawed into fire. Quiet. Steady. I started planning. The money bought me time. A lawyer. Better care. A way out. Jessica didn't know yet, but she would. The money from Victor's first sale. $10,500 wired to my hidden account. Felt like a key turning in a long-locked door. I checked the balance on the burner phone Rosa had slipped me. A cheap flip phone she'd bought at a gas station, paid in cash. It was real. It was mine. No Jessica. No Paul. No joint account they could monitor. I kept the phone in a small zippered pouch inside my Bible, tucked between the pages of Psalms, where no aide or nurse would look twice. Every evening after lights out, when the hallway quieted, and the only sounds were distant beeps from monitors and the occasional cough from the next room, I'd open it under the thin blanket. No calls yet. Just checking the account, reading Victor's brief texts. First 2 charts sold private, $3,800 net after fees. More soon. Rosa became my quiet ally. She was 38, originally from Guatemala, working nights at the senior community to send money home to her 2 boys. She hated the place as much as I did. "They cut corners," she whispered one afternoon while helping me to the lounge. "Food budget slashed. Meds late sometimes. But you don't belong here, Mrs. Caldwell." "Call me Maggie," I told her. "And thank you. For the phone. For listening." She smiled. Small. Tired. "My abuela was like you. Strong. They tried to put her away, too. I fought it. You fight, too. I started small rebellions. Refused the bland oatmeal they served. Asked Rosa to bring me a yogurt from the staff fridge when no one was looking. Walked the halls more, slowly, with the walker, but purposefully. Mapped the exits, main door locked with keypad, side door for deliveries, staff only, fire exit that alarmed if opened. I noted shift changes, days busy with activities, nights quieter but more watchful. Victor came again 10 days later. Same cousin story. This time he brought news. The storage unit in Guilford, the one Jessica had rented after clearing the cottage, held more than she'd admitted. My full collection. 12 antique nautical charts, 19th century originals, total appraised $18,000 to $24,000. The complete set of James's carved wooden boats, 8 pieces, $9,500. Vintage fishing lures and tackle boxes, $6,800. A set of antique crystal stemware, $4,200. And the mahogany hope chest filled with quilts and keepsakes, $8,500. "I can move them discreetly," Victor said in the lounge, voice low. "Private collectors mostly. No auctions, too public. Cash or wire to your account. But we need to be careful. Your daughter checks the unit weekly." I nodded. "Do it in batches. Small items first. Leave the big chest till last." He left with another small chart, a hand-drawn map of Lake Winnipesaukee from 1850. Sold the next week for $4,200. The money started accumulating, $18,000 by week 4. I used a little to buy better things through Rosa. Real coffee from the outside, fresh fruit, a soft blanket for the thin bed. She brought me books from the library, mysteries, memoirs of women who rebuilt late in life. I read under the covers with a booklight she'd smuggled in. Jessica visited on the 4th Sunday. Alone. No Paul. No granddaughters. She breezed in wearing a crisp blazer, phone in hand, already checking emails. "Mom, how are you settling in?" She sat on the edge of the bed like she was in a hurry. "Fine," I said. "The food's still terrible." She laughed lightly. "We'll get you moved to the better wing soon. Higher tier. More activities." I watched her. "How's the cottage?" "Listed," she said quickly. "Open house next weekend. Great interest. $1.25 million asking. After fees and the mortgage payoff on our house, there's plenty for your care here. You're set for years." I felt the ice sharpen. "And my things? The boats? The charts?" "In storage, safe, for the girls when they're older. They'll love the history." I smiled thinly. I'd like James's carved boat back, the one he made for our first anniversary. She hesitated. "It's packed. I'll bring it next time." She left after 20 minutes, kiss on the cheek, promises to call more. I watched her car pull away from the window. That night I texted Victor. "Move faster. She's listing the cottage." He replied, "On it. 3 more charts sold today. $9,000 incoming. And I have a buyer for the boats. Private estate sale. $9,500 cash." I added it to the account. Balance now $27,500. I called a lawyer next, using the burner phone. A name Rosa gave me. Ellen Whitaker, elder law specialist in Portsmouth. She took my call on a Saturday. "Mrs. Caldwell, I've seen this before. Power of attorney misused, assets drained, placed in substandard care. We can challenge it. File for guardianship reversal or fraud if they're misusing funds." "I need to get out," I said, quietly, "and keep what's mine." She listened. "You have funds now?" "Yes, hidden." "Good. We'll start with a petition to revoke the POA, medical evaluation to prove competency. Then, exit plan. Apartment? Home health? We can get you independent." I exhaled. Apartment? Small. Back on the lake if possible. Near friends." She paused. "You're strong, Maggie. Most don't fight back." "I'm tired of not fighting." We set a plan. She'd file papers discreetly. I'd get a doctor's note. Independent one, not the facility's staff. Victor would liquidate more. The next week was tense. Jessica called twice. Casual check-ins, but probing. "How's the room? Eating okay?" I kept answers short. "Fine. Missing my garden." She laughed. "We'll plant one at the new place, when you're ready for the higher tier." I didn't tell her I was already planting my escape. Victor sold the carved boats, $9,500, and half the lures, $3,800. Account hit $40,000. I wired Ellen $6,000 retainer, quietly. Rosa helped me pack a go-bag, clothes, Bible, photos, burner phone. She cried when I told her the plan. "You're getting out. I'm happy for you." I hugged her. "Come visit when I'm free. Bring your boys." One night, alone, I sat by the window. The highway lights blurred. I thought of James, how he'd hold my hand on the dock, whispering, "This is ours, Maggie. No one takes what we built." I whispered back to the dark, "I'm taking it back." The papers were filed the next day. Jessica didn't know yet, but the door was cracking open, the money from Victor's sales. Now $48,000 in my hidden account. Felt like a steady heartbeat in the silence of the senior community. I checked the balance on the burner phone every night after lights out. The screen's glow the only light in the dim room. Rosa's updates came in short texts. "Victor says 3 more charts sold today. $8,200 incoming. Cottage contents almost cleared." I added it quietly, watching the numbers climb like a tide rising slow but sure. Rosa had become more than an aide. She was my eyes and ears. She brought me small comforts, fresh apples from the market, herbal tea packets, a soft throw blanket for the thin bed. She also brought news from outside. Jessica had held an open house at Lakeview Haven. Photos online, fresh paint, staged furniture, turnkey lakefront gem. Asking price, $1.28 million. Rosa showed me on her phone during a bath assist when no one was watching. "She's moving fast," Rosa whispered. "But you're moving faster." I nodded. "We need to finish this." Victor texted that night. "Lures and tackle sold. $6,800 cash. Hope chest quilts next week. Private buyer lined up. $8,500. Storage unit nearly empty. What about the big pieces? The Hope chest itself and the remaining boats?" "Hold them," I replied. "I may need leverage." Ellen Whitaker moved quickly. She filed the petition to revoke Jessica's power of attorney quietly, on grounds of misuse of funds, failure to act in my best interest, and placement in substandard care without proper consent or evaluation. She attached affidavits, one from my old primary doctor in Concord confirming I was mentally competent at the time of the fall, another from Rosa, anonymous but notarized through Ellen, describing neglect at the facility, delayed meds, poor nutrition, isolation. Ellen also arranged an independent geriatric assessment. A doctor from outside the community would evaluate me in person. "Stay low-key," Ellen texted. "Don't tip your daughter off. We need surprise for the hearing." I stayed low-key. I played the part of the compliant resident, attended bingo, smiled at nurses, ate the mushy meals without complaint. But inside, I was building. Rosa smuggled in a small notebook. I wrote letters to James in the margins just to feel him close. Jessica called on a Tuesday, mid-afternoon, when the facility was quiet. "Mom, how are you? The open house was great. Multiple offers already. We'll close soon. Your care here is covered. The higher-tier apartment is ready when you're ready. I kept my voice even. That's nice, dear. A pause. You sound calmer. I've adjusted. She laughed, forced. Good. Paul's handling the staging costs. Your pension is helping. And the girls say hi. They're busy with college apps. I didn't mention the storage unit. Didn't ask about my things. Just tell them I love them. She hung up satisfied. She thought I was broken. She was wrong. Victor sold the quilts, $8,500, and half the remaining boats, $5,200. Account hit $62,000. I used a little to buy better things through Rosa. Real coffee, fresh fruit, a better pillow. She brought me books from the library, stories of women who rebuilt late in life. I read under the covers with the booklight. The geriatric evaluation came on a Thursday. Dr. Patel, a kind woman in her 50s, arrived with a clipboard and gentle questions. She tested memory, cognition, mobility, asked about my daily life before the facility, about the fall, about my wishes. I want to go home, I told her, or somewhere independent, not here. I can manage with help, aides a few hours a day. I have funds. She nodded. You're sharp, Mrs. Caldwell, physically stable. No reason you can't live independently with support. I'll write it up. The report went to Ellen. The hearing was set for 3 weeks later, in Concord Superior Court, not Boston. Ellen arranged transport, a medical van, paid from my account. Jessica found out the day before the hearing. Ellen's office had to notify her as the POA holder. She called immediately, voice shaking with fury. Mom? What is this? A petition to revoke my authority? You're filing against me? I kept my tone calm. I want my rights back, Jessica. I'm competent. The doctor says so. She exploded. This is ridiculous. You had a fall. You can't live alone. We did this for your safety. You did this for the cottage, I said quietly. For the money. For your mortgage. Silence. Sharp. Stunned. Then, how dare you? We're your family. We're protecting you. You locked me away, rerouted my checks, listed my home without asking. That's not protection. That's theft. She started crying, angry tears. You're ungrateful. After everything we've done. You've done nothing but take. I interrupted. I'm taking it back. She hung up. The hearing was small. Judge in chambers, Ellen beside me in a wheelchair they provided. My walker wasn't enough for the courthouse steps. Jessica and Paul came. Jessica in a dark suit, Paul looking uncomfortable in a tie. Ellen presented medical report, bank statements showing pension rerouted, photos Rosa had secretly taken of my room, peeling paint, thin mattress, Victor's affidavit about the storage sales, framed as evidence of asset mismanagement. Jessica's lawyer argued, Mrs. Caldwell's condition requires care. The daughter acted in good faith. The judge, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes, questioned Jessica directly. Did you consult your mother before moving her? Jessica hesitated. She was in pain after the fall. Did you get a second opinion on competency? No, but did you inform her of the cottage listing? She was not in a position to decide. The judge looked at me. Mrs. Caldwell, do you wish to revoke the power of attorney? Yes, I said clearly. I want my independence. The judge ruled in my favor. POA revoked, guardianship denied, my accounts restored. Jessica ordered to return any misused funds within 30 days. Jessica stared, face pale. Paul put a hand on her arm. She whispered, Mom, please. I met her eyes. You made your choices. Now I make mine. I left the courthouse in the medical van, head high, heart pounding, but steady. Ellen smiled in the back seat. "You're free to leave the facility. Today, if you want. I've got apartment listings in Guilford, Small, Lakeview, ground floor. One's available immediately." I nodded. "Let's go home." Rosa helped me pack that afternoon, tears in her eyes, hugs that lingered. "You did it, Maggie. You got out." I hugged her back. "Thank you for believing I could." I walked out of the senior community at dusk, walker in hand, small suitcase rolling behind. Victor waiting in his van with the last of my things he'd salvaged. One carved boat, the Bible, a few photos. The van drove toward the lake, mountains rising in the distance, air cooler, cleaner. Jessica texted as we crossed the county line. "Mom, I'm sorry, can we talk?" I didn't reply yet. The door was open now, and I was walking through it. The medical van from Ellen's office picked me up at the senior community just after dawn the day after the hearing. I had nothing to pack beyond the small suitcase Rosa had helped me prepare. A few changes of clothes, my Bible with family photos tucked inside, James's carved wooden boat, the one Victor had held back, and a small framed photo of us on the dock at sunrise. Rosa stood at the door as I left, tears in her eyes, a quick hug that said everything. "You're free, Maggie," she whispered. "Don't look back." I didn't. The van pulled away from the faded brick building, past the highway signs pointing toward Boston, and turned north toward the lakes region. Lake Winnipesaukee felt like coming home even before we reached it. The air cooler, the sky wider, the green of the pines rising like old friends. Ellen had arranged a short-term rental, a one-bedroom ground-floor apartment in Guilford. Lake view from the patio, no stairs, grab bars in the bathroom, installed at her request, and a small deck overlooking a quiet cove. Monthly rent, $1,800, covered by my restored pension and the first withdrawals from the hidden account. Victor met us there with the van he'd rented for the last salvaged pieces. The mahogany hope chest, he'd held it back, 2 remaining carved boats, and a box of small treasures, photo albums, James's nautical charts, the antique lures. He carried them inside while the driver helped me settle. The apartment was simple, soft grey walls, hardwood floors, a kitchenette with new appliances. But it had windows, real windows, with light pouring in. A small table by the deck door, a couch that didn't smell of institutional cleaner. Victor set the hope chest against the living room wall. "It belongs here," he said, "with you." I ran my hand over the polished mahogany. James's hands had refinished it in 1995. "Thank you, Victor, for everything." He smiled. "You're welcome. And Maggie, the rest of the funds are in your account. $72,000 total after fees. You're set." He left with a promise to visit soon. I stood alone in the quiet apartment, my quiet apartment, and cried for the first time since the fall. Not from sadness, from relief. The first week was adjustment. I hired a home health aide through Ellen's recommendation. Lila, a soft-spoken woman in her 30s who came 3 hours a day to help with baths, light cleaning, and grocery runs. I paid her from my account. No middleman, no Jessica. I started small routines that felt revolutionary. Morning coffee on the deck with the lake murmuring below. Walks along the cove path with my walker, Lila beside me. Trips to the local library for books. I bought plants for the windowsill. Ferns, African violets, a small herb garden, basil rosemary. The deck got a folding chair and a bird feeder. Loons called at dawn. I named them after old friends. Jessica tried calling the day after I left the facility. I let it go to voicemail. "Mom, where are you? They said you checked out. This isn't funny. Call me. We need to talk about the money. The cottage sale is closing soon, but your care. I deleted it. She texted, Mom, please, I'm worried. Paul says we can get the POA reinstated. It's for your safety. I didn't reply. She showed up 4 days later, unannounced, pounding on the apartment door at 10 a.m. Lila answered while I sat on the deck with tea. Jessica pushed past her. Mom, how did you... This place? Lakeview? Who paid for this? I set the tea down. I did. My money. My decision. Her face flushed. You can't just leave, the doctor said. The independent doctor said I'm competent. The judge agreed. She paced the small living room, eyes darting to the hope chest, the carved boats on the shelf. Where did these come from? The storage unit? You took things? I took what was mine, I said calmly. Victor helped, discreetly. Victor? The antique guy? You sold everything behind my back? You sold my cottage behind mine. She stopped. Tears now. Real ones, mixed with panic. Mom, I thought I was helping. The cottage was too big. The money was for you. The money was for your mortgage. I interrupted. For your life. Not mine. She sank onto the couch. I'm sorry. I was scared. After Dad died, I thought, if I controlled things, you'd be safe. But I took too much. I looked at her. Really looked. The little girl who used to fish with James off the dock. Now a woman carrying too much weight. I know you were scared, I said softly. But fear doesn't justify theft or control. She wiped her eyes. What now? Now? You return what's left of my pension. Every penny rerouted. You stop fighting the court order, and you learn to ask instead of take. Paul appeared in the doorway, awkward, hands in pockets. Maggie, let's be reasonable. We can move you back to Boston. Better facility. We'll cover... No, I said firmly. I'm home, the lake, my mountains. Jessica looked up. I'm sorry, truly. Can we... visit sometime, without lawyers? I paused. When you're ready to listen. Doors open, but on my terms. They left. The apartment felt bigger after they were gone. I sat on the deck that evening, sun dipping behind the ridge, air cool with the promise of fall. Lila had brought groceries, fresh salmon, asparagus, a bottle of Chardonnay. I cooked dinner for one, simple, slow, savoring. My phone buzzed. Jessica's text. Transfer sent. $14,200. I'm sorry, Mom. Truly. Can we talk soon? I replied after a long minute. When you're ready. Doors open. I set the phone down, watched the loons glide across the cove. James's carved boat sat on the table beside me, smooth wood warm from the sun. I whispered to the lake. We're home, love. Finally home. The water answered. Soft, steady, eternal. The court order arrived by certified mail 2 weeks after the hearing. Thick envelope, official seal. Judge Brooks's signature crisp on every page. Full restitution, $72,000 from the secret sales, plus interest on misused pension funds. Cottage proceeds rerouted back to me, after Jessica repaid the staging and mortgage advances she'd taken. Punitive damages, $40,000 for breach of trust and emotional distress. Jessica had 90 days to comply or face liens, wage garnishment, asset seizure. Ellen called the same day. It's done, Maggie. She can appeal, but she won't win. The evidence was overwhelming. I sat on the deck of my new Guilford apartment, small, Lakeview, ground floor, and read every line twice. The water lapped gently against the shared dock below. The air smelled of pine and fresh water. The house, Lakeview Haven, was mine again. Jessica had deeded it back, court-ordered, unable to close the sale after the fraud claim froze the title. She'd lost the staging fees, the mortgage relief, and most of her credibility. But the cottage stood empty, waiting. Jessica paid in installments. First $25,000 wired within 30 days. She sold some jewelry and took a second mortgage on their Boston house. Then $20,000 a month after that. No excuses, no begging. Just automatic transfers and a short text each time. Payment sent. J. I acknowledged once. Received. No more. She didn't call for 3 months. When she did, it was quiet. Voice low. No defensiveness. Mom, I'm selling the Boston house. Moving to a smaller place. The payments are taking everything. Paul and I. We're separated. I'm working extra hours now. Real estate admin by day. Freelance staging on weekends. I get it. What I did, it was wrong. I'm not asking forgiveness. Just, can I see you? Not for money. Just to talk. I let her wait a week. Then, come Sunday, 2 p.m. alone. Bring the girls if they want to come. She arrived early, alone at first in an old SUV, the luxury one gone, carrying a small potted hydrangea, blue, like the ones I used to grow by the lake. The granddaughters followed in their own car, college-aged now, awkward but smiling. They looked like Jessica's at that age. Long hair, bright eyes, tentative. I opened the door. No hug yet. Just, come in. We sat on the deck. James's old rocking chairs moved from storage, the lake sparkling below. The hydrangea sat between us on the small table. I planted these for you, Jessica said. Thought maybe the cottage garden could use them. I touched a petal. Maybe. Silence stretched, comfortable, not tense. Then she spoke, voice rough. I'm sorry, Mom. Not just the cottage, for everything. For thinking your life was background to mine, for the fall, for the POA, for making you feel like a burden instead of my mother. I listened. I'm in therapy, she continued. Court mandated at first, but I kept going. I'm learning. Why I did it. Fear. Control. Thinking safety was locking things down, literally. Not trusting you to live. Not trusting myself to let go. She looked at the water. Dad would be ashamed. He'd be disappointed, I said softly. But he'd want you to grow. Jessica nodded, tears in her eyes. The girls, they ask about you. I told them the truth, age appropriate. That I made a big mistake with Grandma's home. That Grandma needed space. They want to visit, to help plant, to swim off the dock again. I exhaled. They can come. With you. When I invite. No surprises. She smiled. Small. Grateful. Thank you. The girls hugged me then. Long, real hugs. They asked about James. I told stories. The dock at dawn. The way he'd whistle while carving boats. The hydrangeas he planted. They listened. No phones. Just family. Fragile, but starting. Jessica left after 2 hours. No long goodbye. Just a quiet, I'll call next week. And she did. Every Sunday after that. Short calls, updates on work, therapy, the girls. No asks, no demands. Just presence. The granddaughters visited for Thanksgiving. Jessica drove them up. They were young women now, studying, dreaming. But they hugged me tight. We cooked together. Turkey, cornbread dressing, cranberry sauce from my mother's recipe. They asked about the lake. I told stories. The fishing, the stars, the swing James built. They listened. No distractions. After dinner, they planted the hydrangea by the cottage path. Together. Laughing when dirt got on their hands. Jessica watched from the porch, quiet, eyes shiny. Paul sent a card through her. Thank you for letting them see you. They talk about Grandma's lake stories all the time. I replied, they're welcome any time. Winter came soft, snow on the dock, lights on the porch. I decorated simply. Small tree in the living room, candles in the windows. Jessica and the girls came Christmas Eve, brought gifts, books, a bird feeder, a framed photo of James and me on the dock. We opened them together. No big presents, just time. Spring returned. The hydrangea bloomed, blue against the green, a small miracle by the path. I sat on the porch most evenings, tea in hand, watching the sunset paint the lake gold. Jessica called one evening in May. "Mom, I paid the last installment today. It's done. All of it. Principal, interest, damages. I'm debt-free because of what I owe you. But more than that, I'm trying to be debt-free in other ways. No more shortcuts. No more excuses." I smiled into the phone. "I'm proud of you." Silence. Warm. Then, "Can we come for dinner Sunday? The girls want to plant more hydrangeas and maybe swim off the dock again." "Bring the tools," I said, "and tell them Grandma's making blueberry pie." She laughed. Real. Light. "We'll be there." I hung up, walked to the dock. The water lapped gently. James's carved boat sat on the rail, smooth wood warm from the sun. I whispered to the lake. "We're home, love. Finally home." The water answered, soft, steady, eternal. Freedom isn't revenge. It's a dock at dawn, a garden that blooms, a family that learns, and a woman who finally chooses herself. Every day. The cottage was mine. The heart was healing. And the porch light stayed on.